Thank you for joining us for the Uganda Catholic Television. I am Sunday Gloria. A watch with Uctv News this 28th day of March 2025. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics, UBOS, has refuted allegations that it erased the Buganda Central Region from the Uganda's map following the circulation of a controversial map on social media. During a meeting at Bulange Menga with Buganda Kingdom Minister for Information and Mobilization, Uctv Israel Kitoke, UBOS Deputy Executive Director Vincent Senero distanced the Bureau from the circulating map. He emphasized that the accusations were baseless and likely aimed at sowing discord between the government and the Buganda Kingdom.
Abo bagala kwonona omukwano n'omukago Buganda gwe yakola ki gwe bassaako omukono tulina okukolaganira wamu okwimprovinga ki Buganda.
Despite the historic contention and contradictions between the central government and the Buganda Kingdom over federal status and the kingdom's autonomy, this is not the first time Buganda Kingdom leaders and loyalists have accused the government of deliberately eliminating the Buganda region from the national map. These accusations date back as far as 2018.
Map za Uganda ezifulumizibwa nga ziva mu bitongole bya gavumenti nga wetwogerera maps ezo Buganda teriimu era ssentebe w'akakiiko akategeka emikolo ensonga eyo agikonyeeko. Ebitundu bya Uganda ebirala byonna bye tumanyi nga Busoga, Kalamojja, Ankole, Bunyoro n'ebirala byo mwebiri naye Buganda teriimu. Kaakati naawo nze wenneebuuza nti kiki ekigendererwa, sinnaba kumanya kiki ekigendererwa.
Tosobola kugamba nti Buganda teri ku map. Kiringa oli bw'anaagamba nti Bulange teri Mmengo nga yiiyo buli omu agiraba yiiyo nga teriiwe Mmengo. Kati Buganda ogijja otya ku map? Kyekibuuzo ekisooka ogijjako otya? Yagenze ludda Buganda yagenze Tanganyika. Oli yaze n'asitula Buganda eno n'agyebagajja n'agenda agikasuka Zaire. Tewali ayinza kujja Buganda ku Uganda kubanga Buganda ly'ejjinja ery'omu nsonda okwazimbirwa ensi Uganda.
Whereas this was subsequently rectified, in the past few weeks, the Kingdom loyalists, particularly those online, have yet again lashed out at the government in a fresh fracas involving a map making rounds on social media, accusing it of yet another attempt to remove the region from the national map, something that has caused contention and anxiety among the Kingdom's subjects. In a bid to set the record straight, today, the Deputy Executive Director of UBOS, Vincent Sennono, accompanied by the Principal Public Relations Officer Didaka Sokoth, paid an official visit to the Buganda Kingdom headquarters in Bulange Mengo, where they met the Kingdom's Minister of Information and Mobilization, Uctv Israel Kitoke. During the meeting, they dismissed the accusations of eliminating the region from the map, asserting that Buganda was fully considered in their recent national population and housing census exercise, in which they registered 27 districts, as reflected on their official map.
Kikakasa bulungi nti Buganda kweri kuki bannamawulire njagala muzumbinga ennyo mu kirabe. Kati ntwagadde okuyamba bannamawulire tuggyeyo ekirala ekinene nga bwe mulaba wano yawukana si bye bimu ng'era ekyo kiraga nti
Vincent Sennono insists that the perpetrators behind the circulation of the controversial map aim to ruin the relationship between the kingdom and the central government.
Obuganda bwonna ne bannayuganda bwonna nti nga ekitongole ekivunaanyizibwa ku by'ebibalo n'engeri gye tulina omukago n'Obuganda tewali ngeri yonna ekitongole kya Uganda Bureau of Statistics bwe kisobola okujja Uganda ku map.
The Bureau's Principal Public Relations Officer, Didaka Sokoth, states that it's not the Bureau's mandate erase the region from the map because it was constitutionally gazetted.
And we all know that we respect our constitution as a country and therefore as an institution that provides services that facilitates and contributes to the development of our country. It is therefore our mandate to stick and follow the established laws.
The Bureau demonstrated its commitment to fostering a cordial collaboration between the government and the kingdom by contributing 5 million Uganda shillings to the forthcoming Kabaka birthday run.
Ekitongole ekivunanyizibwa ku by'ebibalo kigambye nakyo kakyenyigire mu misinde gino nga tugula obujozi obuddukibwamu bwa miliyoni 5.
Owekitiibwa Israel Kitoke, the Kingdom's Minister of Information and Mobilization, applauded the government, particularly the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, for taking responsibility in setting the record straight, which he asserts that it has relieved the kingdom's subjects.
Abantu baffe n'abavubuka baffe bonna bali ku mitimbagano egy'enjawulo, abali emitala w'amayanja n'Obuganda bwonna, nyongera okubategeeza nti ensonga eno etegerekese bulungi nnyo. Teri agenda kujja Buganda ku maapu ya Uganda. Abakulu batulaze ebitabo byonna
bye muwulira ku mitimbagano ku TV beebo abantu abanoonyeza ebyabwe.
In the same spirit, he commended the Bureau for showing interest in participating in the forthcoming Kabaka birthday run, a noble cause aimed at eradicating HIV/AIDS, a pandemic that has affected Uganda's health for decades.
Ne tubeebaza nnyo bwe muvaayo ng'ekitongole eky'ebibalo ate ebitongole okujja ne mukiika embuga. Tubeebaza nnyo olwo nettu eryo lye muleese. Tubalinze mu misinde egyo.
The 12th edition of the Kabaka birthday run, scheduled for April 6, 2025, will be held under the theme, Men for Good Health to Save the Girl Child. This annual event celebrates the birthday of King Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II, with proceeds and efforts dedicated to the fight against HIV/AIDS. Joseph Kabale, Uctv News.
Ugandans have been urged to pay attention to early warning systems and take proactive measures to mitigate disaster risks, improve agricultural planning and enhance community resilience. This call comes a day after one of the worst disasters hit the country on Wednesday when various areas of Kampala were submerged by flash floods following a heavy downpour.
These people who are staying in flood-prone area, because some of them know very well that is an area which is a wetland. And NEMA has already issued them warning to vacate those areas. People should kindly move away from those places. Because there are two things which is going to happen. One, NEMA is going to vacate you by force, which is very bad. Number two, this natural disaster due to weather is also coming to hit you by force. So, why don't you move away? So it is better you move away than always trying to get some mitigation measures by piling soil so that when it comes, the water is down, but you can remain up. That one will not help you anywhere. Then two, and most importantly, people should always heed to early warning information. The early warning information given is always to make you prepare and act on it immediately, either by moving away or by trying to now relocate yourself completely by yourself. So getting early warning information and acting on the early warning information is one of the key issues that people should take it for their safety. Because sharing the early warning information involves a lot of things. Number one, capacity building for the different sectors. Number two, aligning people who should now be the focal point person in different places. Number three, channeling this information to the last mile. And people should now take their full responsibility. So you find doing all this kind of thing requires some budget. So most time when we presented this budget, of course, you know, government is also overstressed. There is a budget cut. So when a budget cut comes for our budget, what are affected, among others, some the budget due to early warning information is normally affected, because they look at it, it is like, you are not working alone on sharing this early warning information. Generate, send it to other sector, then other sector will continue sending like that. But now doing it that way, it becomes very difficult, because once I've generated, I can send it to you, then you receive. But you know, it is not your responsibility to take it to the next level. So when we are giving the forecast, then we said people who are living in a flood-prone zone should get out, because we are going to face a serious flooding and heavy precipitation. And this rain will build up by the end of this month. That is when it will increase. Then it goes up to the middle of next month, that is April. That is the period we expect peak of the rainfall. And you know, during the peak of the rainfall, that is when the rain will cover many parts of the areas. The beauty is, sometime in the peak of the rainfall season, it might not come with a lot of vigor, the way it is coming right now, but it is always heavy. And it is always much. And it is always on almost a daily or after every 2-3 days. The bad thing with it, continuous rainfall, even if it is small, because the soil is already wet. When the soil is already wet, like right now, any small rain which will come, it will spark flood. So the peak of the season is predicted to be by the beginning of next month, going to the middle of next month, that is April, over central and southwestern. Then the rain is expected to start declining by the end of May.
Now, the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda, NUDIPU, has raised concerns over government's failure to fulfill commitments made during the 2018 London and 2022 Oslo Global Disability Summits. Key unfulfilled pledges include the National Inclusive Education Policy, the National ICT Policy for Persons with Disabilities, and disability employment quotas to ensure equal job opportunities. Additionally, the annual publication of employment status reports remains unimplemented. David Nangosi, the programs officer at NUDIPU, highlights these concerns ahead of the 3rd Global Disability Summit set for April 2nd to 3rd, 2025 in Berlin, Germany.
The 3rd Global Disability Summit will be held this year on 2nd and 3rd of April in Berlin, Germany, with a focus on nothing about us without us, implementation, rights, national ownership, disability inclusive development, bridging the gap, and data and evidence. This year's summit builds on that of 2018 and 2022 commitments made by Uganda government. Uganda government has already committed on what it is going to do for persons with disabilities in the next 3 years in the specified thematic areas. Uganda government equally committed in 2018 and 2022 Global Disability Summits on what would be done for persons with disabilities in the specified thematic areas. All this is intended to enhance the promotion and the protection of the fundamental human rights of persons with disabilities as enshrined in the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the Persons with Disabilities Act, Chapter 115. Following the commitments of 2018, we appreciate the government of Uganda for enacting the Persons with Disabilities Act and the Mental Health Treatment Act. The 2006 National Policy on Disability has also been reviewed. We also appreciate the government for increased budget allocation to special grant for persons with disabilities from 3 billion shillings to 16 billion shillings. However, in spite of those achievements, the commitments on the finalization of the development of the National Inclusive Education Policy, the development of the National ICT Policy for persons with disabilities, the commitment on coming up with disability employment quotas, and publication of the annual reports on the status of employment of persons with disabilities have not yet been implemented. The commitments on equipping at least 40% of the orthopedic workshops across the country, conducting a study on employment status of persons with disabilities to inform modalities for a quota system and job placements of persons with disabilities, Ministry of Public Service supporting the development of a recruitment and costed policy in the public service sector that will provide for affirmative action and accommodation and reasonable accommodation of persons with disabilities, Ministry of Public Service providing guidance to ministries, departments, and agencies to include sign language and other reasonable accommodation packages for meaningful inclusion of persons with different categories of disabilities, and conducting a needs assessment of persons with disabilities within internally displaced communities, refugee settlements, and host communities within Uganda have all not yet been realized. It is therefore worrying that our country often makes good commitments in favor of persons with disabilities on the global scene, but struggles to implement them afterwards. As organizations of persons with disabilities, we get so deeply concerned by the well-thought but unfulfilled promises which are always not met, and hence leaving the lives of persons with disabilities in jeopardy. For this third Global Disability Summit, NUDIP, together with organizations of persons with disabilities, calls upon government to the implementation of the commitments that were made in the 2018 and 2022 Global Disability Summits that have not yet been implemented. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development should strengthen the coordination mechanism with the ministries, departments, and agencies that are responsible for the implementation of the Global Disability Summit commitments. Ministries, departments, and agencies of government that are responsible for the implementation of the Global Disability Summit commitments should prioritize planning and budgeting for the said Global Disability Summit commitments. Government should regularly consult with persons with disabilities and organizations in the implementation and monitoring of government programs, including Global Disability Summit commitments.
Away from that, it's time for Today in History. And that's it for the Friday edition of Uctv News. My name is Sanjay Gloria Abot, and you are watching the Uganda Catholic Television. Good news for all.